What is the most shocking secret you discovered about a loved one? I came home from a Christmas party, feeling like the belle of the ball. My charming date brought me roses and doted on me all evening. I wore a slinky, velvet dress and danced the night away happily. When I returned home, I went to check on my 3 sleeping children. I knew my 14-year-old daughter had a big paper due soon that she was concerned about. She was an early entrant into a college program and wanted to do everything well. We would have discussed it had I been there. Her computer was open, so I clicked to see what she had been working on. Instead, it was an online journal. Is it considered snooping if you publish your journal for all the world to see, even if you are using a clever pseudonym? Is it? The latest entry discussed an incident she had experienced with my charming date for the evening. He had been strictly a client for 7 years, but our relationship slowly warmed into something more after I split from my borderline husband 2.5 years before. The client was 2 years older than me, divorced with 2 sons. He became my most trusted friend and a frequent visitor to our home. We were testing the waters of romance, slowly, cautiously, and respectfully. Or, so I thought. We even shared family vacations together, with separate housing. I am very protective of my children, financially independent after struggles with self-esteem, and had no need to rush a relationship at the time. I could see when my client, Ralph, first met my daughter at age 12, that he was taken with her. She is extremely bright and beautiful, my pride and joy. I took his attention as sweet and welcomed a father figure into her deflated life. When he brought me flowers, he would bring her a smaller bouquet. He would take each of us arm in arm to lunches. He would give her little gifts while ignoring my sons. I had never been more wrong about a person in my life. Her journal entry revealed a sickening story of a young girl who had been slowly preyed upon and her innocence taken away. Little by little, visit by visit, over a 2-year period. Kind words and smiles turned to casual touch, then to inappropriate groping, then to forced actions that would be enough to convict him of felony charges. Although she loathed him and his visits, she felt she could not tell anyone, as it would damage a pretty picture. She worried more about me and my financial security and future happiness than her own. She sulked quietly, hurt herself to the point of self-harm, and buttoned up stoically. After I saw the lines on her wrist, I took her to a psychiatrist, but she refused to talk. I related these stories to Ralph, and he seemed so concerned for her welfare. She wrote in her online journal words that seemed too awful to be true. The journal became the state's evidence against Ralph. We agreed to press misdemeanor charges to save my emotionally devastated and frightened daughter from the necessity of a court trial. The state's attorney gave him a year in come-and-go prison, where he was free to continue work, but reported to jail every night. The charmer was still able to finagle special privileges from his jailers during that time, such as taking his sons to the Wisconsin Dells for a weekend, even though he was forbidden contact with any children, including his sons, and was supposed to sleep in jail every night. He always loved to straddle the lines to see what he could get away with. Although he admitted to me that he didn't care for people, he had a gift of false modesty and a witty sense of humor that opened doors and made him a successful salesman. He would need to admit his offender charges to his employers and his neighbors for the rest of his life. I bet after hearing his version of the story, they believed he was still a great catch. Poor guy. He would not be released until he had successfully completed offender counseling, which I'm sure he charmed his way through quickly with flying colors.